Formula One fans and adrenaline junkies, welcome to round 3 of the IRC Mini-Championship. We go on board with some of the fastest eSports racers in India at the Circuit of Americas, also popularly known as the venue of the American Grand Prix. Today it's going to be a reverse championship grid with the ones finishing first from the previous race starting at the back and the ones finishing at the back, or even the newcomers, new joinees on the list starting from the front. If I have to read down the top 3 of last race, that's going to be Maranello Baby, Real SD, and Black Sheep. So you can count on them starting from the back and putting up a good fight, racing up the other racers and probably getting themselves into the top 5 at the end of the race. Well, I'm going to also introduce my co-commentator today. Masoom, are you there? Joined with us today.
Something I noticed was that among the top 3 fastest players in IRC, we can't ignore that SD is going to be starting in higher grid start compared to Mara and Black Sheep.
Yep. What are your predictions for today's pit strategies, tire strategies? Take us through what you think is going to happen.
I think most people would go for a soft medium, given that there's a 25% race. But given how difficult it is to manage tire temperatures in USA, I might not be surprised if someone does opt for the medium hards. But of course, with very less time spent on the hards, given how less grip it offers.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's going to risk going on a tire like hards where you can compromise losing a lot of seconds per lap. And when we have a 14-lap race like today, you want to get as much speed as you can. Make sure that your tires are churned as much as they can as you're going up the field.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people may get very experimental with their strategies.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something to count for. So who are your top 3 today?
I'm definitely sure Mara is going to end up in top 3, given the sheer raw pace he has. And I'm also betting on Black Sheep because despite setbacks in the last 2 races, he did eventually end up ending on the podium.
Correct.
And barring any incidents, I would also assume SD to be in the top 3. I mean, I know it's the same order as how they finished in the last race, but we can't ignore their raw pace.
All right. So while I'm waiting on the team to just let us know if the lobby is ready, I'm just going to take you through a few hotspots of today's race. I think with turn 12 is going to see a lot of overtakes. We might see a few cars going wide at the beginning of lap 1. But then again, that's completely up to them to judge their braking points and measure how much they're gonna dive into the first corner of the first lap. Let's just see if the lobby is ready. We might just dive right in. So some of the drivers that I'm taking a look at today, maybe we might have Ninja Zero putting up a fight. He has this consistent pace almost every time he's battling it out with the people in front, and we also have people like the Real SD among the racers today. So, Masoom, what do you think is going to happen, especially if people start gaining too much tire wear, and if someone gets their tire strategy wrong, gaining positions in the first half of the race? How do you think they're going to make sure that they come back into the race?
I mean, as far as I don't have much experience in this track, but what I do know is that you don't want to stay, if you're not comfortable with your tires, I'm definitely sure you don't want to stay on those tires for too long.
Absolutely. Now,
yeah, but if they do mess up their tire strategy for their second stint, then I think they're going to hold out.
All right. Now, as most of you fans must have heard in the latest news, Kimi Raikkonen received his winning Ferrari car from the 2018 championship as a gift, and I think that's super cool to see because you are a Ferrari legend. You are someone who won your last championship on this track. It's really nice to see Kimi Raikkonen get that car as gift. Now give us a moment, guys. I think we are just ready to see the lobby go online.
Regarding the Ferrari car that was given to Kimi, I was actually quite interested to see, a moment of appreciation from the Ferrari team, because I think generally for most viewers, Ferrari is considered as the colder team of the grid.
Absolutely. Now, Masoom, you've been part of IRC for a while as a driver, as part of the team. What are your thoughts on how we're progressing, how we're getting into this esports scene?
I have only been in IRC for 2 months, but in those 2 months, IRC has progressed quite a lot. Like, I can't put it in words, to be honest. And especially in tier 2, when we started, we were just a ragtag team of amateurs. But over the last 2 weeks, I've seen a lot of people with really good pace join tier 2.
Absolutely. We'll soon looking at tier 2 joining the ranks of the tier 1 racers, and now the lobby is ready. So let's just jump on board and see the fastest racers go around the Circuit of Americas today.
Yeah. And we're in the loading screen right now.
Now, as someone who's participated in Formula One online for a very limited amount of time, but someone who's been a spectator for at least 3 years now, I think that a lot of people complain that the Circuit of Americas is like a chimera track it's like a chimera copycat track. I mean, Herman Tilke is known for his famous corners and recycling and reusing them. So we have your entire turns 2 to turn 7s, which is almost like your Maggots, Beckett's from Silverstone. You have your turn 15, I think, which is quite reminiscent of Abu Dhabi. I mean, your Bahrain, turn 10 in Bahrain, and you have your entire 16, 17, 19 of this track, which is reminiscent of Turkey's right-hander turn 8. So yeah, these are some really cool things to see. Cool things for a few fans and a sort of aggravation points for a few fans. But then again, each track has a charm of its own. I think Daniel Ricciardo absolutely loves going around the Circuit of Americas. We have Maranello Baby, who also adores this track. So it would be good to see people who don't like this track, people who like this track, all of them part of today's rostrum. Let's see how this race pans out.
It's very hard to complain about this circuit because although we complain about recycling by Herman Tilke, I think he cropped the best of the bunch for this track.
Yeah, that's definitely a good perspective to add to all the opinions that are there on the Circuit of Americas. Now,
I think
Masoom, is there now, while we wait for the drivers to get out of the pits, if there was a race that you could go to, like witness in live, which is the first 3 that you would go for?
That's a tough choice. I have a soft spot for the European races generally. So I would probably say the Austrian GP and the German GP, although it seems very unlikely the German GP would happen. But of course, it is going to happen given the current circumstances regarding the corona virus. But I don't, yeah. And I think the third race where I would want to go is Singapore.
Those are some really good choices, actually.
Yeah. I know the racing sucks in Singapore, but it's an amazing track to be in.
All right. Now, looking at today's race, since we don't have a qualifying, I mean, that's another update for everyone who's joining us. Since we don't have a qualifying and we're going to be having a reverse championship grid, I mean, a reverse grid from last race, it's going to be good to see how the front runners. I mean, it's kind of obvious that in a track like the Circuit of Americas, you're going to have the front runners, the middle pack, and the end, the last bunch. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the guys who start out at the front, or rather the slow ones, the ones with the slower pace who start out at the front, are able to keep their speed consistent. Now we're jumping onto the grid. Everyone's loading. I'm going to load all the details for you. It's lights out and away we go. There's a Renault that's completely stalled out on the grid. We have Monk, IRC, and IRC Freeman and Speedlust, who are completely at the front. I'm going to just load all the details for you. Masoom, why don't you take us through what's happening on track?
Yeah. It seems that Freeman got a penalty in the start. It seems he jumped the start, so he will have to serve a drive-through penalty. As we go through the SS, so far we are not having any significant carnage.
Oh, that was a shunt by Ninja Zero with Monk, who's in front of him. Now, if you can look at the position changes, you will see Mountains lost 8 positions there. Now that is
quite surprising.
Yeah, Mountains lost 8 positions there, and you can see even Streeters lost 12, Tanish lost 10. The ones who've gained on the first lap are, you have Faizan, who's gained 6 positions, Rand, who's gained 5 positions, and you have Black Sheep, who seems to have gained 7 positions there.
And Speedless goes for the overtake on Freeman.
Absolutely, it seems like the Toro Rosso and the Red Bull in front are having a small battle between themselves. Speedless seems to have got better of it.
But we do know that Freeman will have to service drive-through in the next 3 laps. So that's going to be a lot of ground to make up.
What would you do if you were in Freeman's position?
I would immediately go for the mediums.
And would you like take that medium all the way to the end? Oh,
Yeah,
Freeman
probably.
bobbles there as he comes out of that corner. And as you predicted, Vasu, he jumps into the pits almost like he's hearing what you've got to say.
Yeah, I believe he would pit again in the next lap and go for the mediums because this is a time where he can experiment on the tire strategy in free air.
So you're saying that he's going to pit now and then pit again after this?
Yeah, that's my guess. Of course, I could be totally wrong.
Oh yeah, he's come out of the pits now and he might be going into the pits next. You have come close to 2 guesses there, Masoom. Now let's jump on and see what the others are doing. Streeter catching up to Maranello and Tani. You have Tanish behind Streeter, just 3/10 off the pace. Now they're going through the S's, one of the most challenging sections of the track. You can't be too close because the dirty air is going to completely make your car go out.
The tier 2 leader is chasing one of the stronger midfield. Oh, and he gets wobbly coming out of that turn.
Who's that we're talking about? Tanish?
Tanish.
Yeah. Yep, that definitely. He puts it under pressure by his tier 2 compatriot, washing powder Nirma.
Washing powder just tried for an ultimate dive bomb, which seems to have not worked out.
Let's stay on board with them for the next sector and then we can jump on board with them with one of the people in the front. What do you think? Is he gonna try and take an overtake now, or is he gonna take it to the front straight, the start-finish straight?
In the initial laps, I don't think it's a wise choice to go for a move right now, given the amount of traffic we have. So I think most people are going to wait out, let the field gain some gap.
Yep, he's struggling a little bit on those mediums. I think we should jump.
Mara gained a position back from Mountain. For a moment, Mountain was ahead of Mara.
That's interesting. I think. Go on, you were saying something, Vasu. Oh, so there is a 4-lap battle. I mean, you can see. So sorry to interrupt you there, but this was really interesting between Streeter, Electrip, Tani, and Tanish. Oh, Tanish going absolutely bonkers there, losing his front left. I think he got shunted.
He will need to pit now.
I think since he started on the mediums, he might pit now and take his cars all the way. I mean, pit on softs and take those tires all the way to the end. What do you think, Basu?
I heavily doubt if that would be the fastest strategy. We know how quickly the softs heat up in this track.
That's true. Now let's just see. Go on.
You can do it. You can do it, but you would be facing attack from the people behind. Would be on a better strategy.
Now let's just go on board with Tani, Electric. Oh, there's a battle going on between Maranello and IRC. The real SD, I think, over there. Yes. Monk going wide over there and opening the doors for Maranello, saying, "Hello, welcome, Maranello. Take this position." But Maranello doesn't dive right in. Now, what do you think? Is Monk struggling there, or is it because Maranello is on the slightly harder compound, the mediums?
It does seem to me like Monk is struggling. I wouldn't be surprised if Monk is overtaken in the next straight.
Yeah, that would be interesting to watch. So let's just stay on board with Maranello and see what happens.
Monk gets all kinds of wobbly coming out of the main straight.
Maranello jumps on him like a person jumping on a Christmas pie during Christmas. Now, this was a good overtake to watch. Simple, but a good, clean overtake to watch. Now, who would you want us to go on board with, Masu? SD and Nirma are coming into the pits.
So as you predicted, people are going for early pit stop.
Yep. Yeah, you were saying?
Oh, interestingly, SD has pitted onto the softs, so he's planning to do a stint of 10 laps on the softs.
Or do you think he's going to do a two-stop strategy?
A two-stop wouldn't work for a 25% race. They would lose. You can't recuperate those 20 seconds.
Absolutely. Going through the S's on these new fresh set of tires.
And Washington and Nirma on the hards.
Wow. Do you think that could have been a mistake by him? Maybe he told Jeff to put the mediums, or he told Jeff to put the hards by mistake?
I think it's a mistake because I know that the game defaults to hards in the worst possible moment. It happened to one of the eSports drivers in the last eSports season, where he was unfortunately put on the hards.
And you can see Nirma is completely struggling over there. He's absolutely not able to get his car gripped onto the racing line, going all over the place like it's his backyard. That is
And
not
Propi
good news
also,
for him.
and Propi also picks on the hearts. What is happening?
We might need to check with these drivers later. Propi, I think he's ghosted, but this is not good news for the drivers who have pitted on the hards. Maranello baby sets a 135.791 going up the field. Where is Maranello? Let's go on board with him.
He's P6. He's chasing down his fellow Alpha driver.
So Masoom, now I want you to tell me what are the other battles that are coming up. We'll take our audiences through everything that's happening on track right now. Maranello hunting down Black Sheep, almost four tenths of a second behind him. Both the Alfa Romeos reminiscent of Kimi and Giovinazzi on track. Maranello pushing the limits. Let's go on board and see what's happening. This is where Sebastian Vettel's car completely lost the suspension, but unfortunately, we don't have such instances happening in the game. Hunting down Black Sheep on this back straight right now. Getting a decent exit. DRS open. ERS on full deployment almost. Yes, that was easy to get down Black Sheep there. Now I don't know if Black Sheep gave up the position because he knows Maranello's got blistering pace, or if Black Sheep absolutely had no way of defending there.
I have to say that Tani gets past Electrip and is now on the gearbox of Freeman. And Freeman has gotten past Monk in P10.
Yeah, this is a close battle happening between the three boys there. I think it's four boys there. Yep. It's a four-man pack. Let's see it in cinema mode. I think the audiences will get a fantastic view of the cars. Yeah, Masoom, you want to tell us what's happening on track while we watch this?
Yeah. As we say that, I'm interested to know like if whether Speedless can finally end up winning the race, because as we look at it right now, there is around I think a 10-second gap between him and Mara, and if he's able to keep up this pace, it might as well be possible for him to keep this position.
Now, what are your bets on that happening? Like if you had to put a ratio on it, 30-70, 60-40?
I'm going to put 60-40. The only issue I see is that Mara is on the medium, so he will be pitting onto the softs towards the end. So we can expect Mara to be on some blistering pace towards the end of the race. So Speedless would have to become quite defensive towards the end of the race.
Correct. So the strategy, go on.
Both the top three are doing an excellent job keeping it consistent.
Indeed. We see someone who seems to have ghosted there in front, the Mercedes. That might be Propi.
Yep. I think he has pitted twice. So I suspect something weird has gone on for him for his game.
Now let's just go on board with some more close battles that are happening. Let's just look at the intervals between the drivers. There is a good battle that's here between Electrip, Tani and Freeman. What do you think is going to be the outcome of this battle, Masoom?
So as it looks right now, Tani has the upper hand since he is on the medium tires. And Freeman, I would assume, would need to pit in the next couple of laps. But something to notice, Freeman did serve a penalty a few laps earlier.
Yep. Now as the drivers go around the last two corners before starting the 7th lap of this race. Let's go on board. Oh, we have Monk heading into the pits. Let's just see which tire.
And Mara has made it onto the podium positions.
So as you were predicting, see, I think what's going to happen between Speedlust and Mara is, now Mara is going to definitely catch up to Speedlust, and by the time he does, one of two things is going to happen. He's going to be in front of Speedlust or he's going to be behind. Now if he ends up being in front of Speedlust, you can say Speedlust pitting again and starting on the mediums is going to have a hard time catching up to Mara. And if Mara doesn't overtake him, then he might have a chance. So let's just see what happens there. I have definitely got my bets on Speedlust putting up a good show today for us. Monk out of the pits now on the mediums.
Impressively, Speedless does not have any penalties or warnings up to this point.
That's good news. Maranello and Charles battling it out there. I'm going to stay on board with Maranello for a while and let's see what he does. I think you can also join us, Masoom, on board with Maranello. Now, as they go on board,
he's right on the gearbox of Charles Leclerc. He tries to dive down the inside, but that is quite a difficult place to do an overtake.
Now it's all about sticking behind the car through the next section, making sure you don't overdo it or stay too close, because the start finish straight.
I absolutely love this section. The feeling of high grip from these cars. and Mara
Ooh.
goes into the pits.
Mara jumps in. Mara jumps in while he's behind Speedlust.
If he doesn't get stuck in traffic, he's going to get a huge gains as Speedless pits, being on the faster compound.
That would be interesting to watch. So let's just see where Maranello comes out.
Yep.
I think he's gonna be. Oh, we have a bunch of other boys pitting as well. Maranello makes it just behind Mountain, I think. Yes, he joins in 9th. So now he's gonna make up through the fields on fresh set of softs all the way till the end, while the rest of the fields will struggle to maintain their pace in front of him and make sure that by the time they pit and they come out, Maranello's either worn out his tires too much and they're close enough to catch up, or that they come out just ahead of Maranello. Even though, let's see what happens. Maranello now hunting down Mountain like a wolf trying to catch a sheep in an open field.
He needs to get this move done quickly to make sure he does not lose any significant time. And Mountain is making it really hard for Mara. So he doesn't. Yeah. He easily gets him.
Now let's go on board and see what's happening with the boys at the back. There seems to have been like quite an open field. Tanish, I don't know what's happened to his race today, Masoom. I mean, he is one of your fellow drivers, so you should be telling us a little bit about what's happening with Tanish's race today.
I'm quite surprised. I think he is struggling a bit to become consistent, and I think he has pitted twice already. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, so he has made one. He has made one stop, and he has pitted onto the softs. So he has gone for a medium soft strategy.
Do you think the pressure of going up against the T1 champions has put pressure on the two T2 boys, Tanish and Washing Powder Nirva, and has kind of set back down their race today?
I doubt it. I think Washing Powder is probably suffering because of incidents in the race and the Codemasters doing him no favors with his tire selection. I think in the case of Tanish, I think he got into some incidents and then he got damage in the car and faced some issues while driving with the said damage.
Interesting. So let's see what happens at the end of this pit. As we are on lap 9, we have Speedlust in first position, Tani R31 behind him, Maranello Baby hunting them both down, Shalalek in 4th place, IRC Rant and Black Sheep. I think they seem to be having a battle right now. Yep.
Mara has closed impressively to Speedlust. So if I recall, before the pit stop, the gap was 7 seconds. It is now 3.
Like I told you, it's okay. So Speedlust does come out in front of Maranello. So it's all about. I don't know why Speedlust could have maybe lasted a little longer on his tires, but maybe not. It was a good decision for him to come in and get on those mediums, because now he's gonna have a little longer. Better tire grip at the end of the race compared to Maranello. But it completely depends on how Maranello sets his pace. Oh, Rant completely lagging out there, and I think that might have put a little bit of pressure on Black Sheep there, avoiding.
In this game, one of the most difficult things is to overtake a lagged car.
Yeah, it's not so easy to overtake a fast car as it is to overtake a lag car. I would definitely agree with that. Now, let's see what's happening in front. I think Shalele and No More PP are putting up a fight. We have Shalele on the slightly fresher tires and No More PP hunting him down on the hards. But yeah, Shalele seems to be miles ahead. Tani jumps into the pits right now. Let's go on board with Rant and see what happens for the next couple of sections, because No More PP is completely lagging out there. I have no idea what's happening. He's ghosting and making sure that the others don't suffer because of him.
Yep. And Tanish is now closing up on Mountain. How did Mountain lose so many positions so quickly?
I think it was his pit stop.
And Tanish spins. He has damaged his front wing on the main straight.
Tanish having an absolutely deplorable race today. Has he damaged his front wing? Yes,
he has damaged. He has
right hand plate.
Yep.
That is not good news. Let's just go on board and see all the battles that are happening right now. We have a close battle between Jinan and IRC, the Real SD. Real SD, the one of the top podium finishers from last race. We have Jinan takes up, but SD in the defending line there. Let's see if SD can defend close enough to avoid getting DRS jumped by Jinan in the start-finish straight. But that's completely based on the break, how the boys break through the next section of corners. Oh, shunting SD there. that was fun to watch.
I have to say that Mara is now on the gearbox of speed list.
That is going to be interesting to watch as well. Yup. Mara
Did you get
diving
the-
down.
And will
Speedless
take
still
you inside
defending, but he goes wide and he leaves the door open for Maranello. But when he's coming back and he's putting up a battle, oh, if they touch, then it would be a fantastic situation for one of the drivers. Sorry for the cough there. Yeah, I think this is something that Speedless seems to have compromised.
And through the S section, Mara gains a second.
Yep. Now Black Sheep chasing down Chalalais. This might be another podium finish for Black Sheep as well today, because he has the fresher tires, he has this faster compound, the grippier compound. He is getting closer to the gearbox of Chalalais. Chalalais is definitely, I wouldn't say struggling, but he's definitely not hitting the best apexes on the racing line, as you can see right there, going a little wide. Or that might be his natural racing line for all we know. Get DRS open. Oh, Chalalais moving around a little bit too much, or maybe that's just Black Sheep not able to avoid, but thankfully no damage there as far as we can see.
That doesn't stop Black Sheep from getting ahead.
Oh, that was really close between the drivers. Chalalais giving up space towards the end finally.
Freeman concedes the position to Electrip. No, but Freeman gets it back.
At the same time, Streeter is making up. Streeter, Jinan and the Real SD are having a battle. Streeter's joined that three-way battle. Jinan seems to have much better grip than a Real SD, of course. Real SD is on older soft tires.
This has become a four-way battle now with Rand leading the field.
Oh, Streeter makes a big impulsive jump there. I think both Streeter given up his position, and he seems to have stopped on the start-finish straight. Let's jump on board and see SD catching up to Rand now.
This gives a position to Ninja. Two positions actually. Potentially if he can overtake Jinan.
Yep. So Masoom, I'm going to read out the top 10 in the race, while if you could just take a look at all the warnings and the penalties that have been accrued. I'm just going to read out the top 10. We have Maranello Baby in first place. We have Speedlust just behind him and Black Sheep in third position. These three wrap up the podium finishers of today. Chalalais, IRC Rant and the Real SD making up 4th, 5th and 6th place. Jinan in 7th, Ninja in 8th, Tani R31 in 9th and Freeman in 10th position. Now I don't think anyone is predicted for a pit stop right now. We have 2 laps to go, 2 laps to the end. Real SD catching up to Rand. This is one of his best opportunities. I think he should have stayed in the slipstream, but he's also got the more offensive racing line there. Rand also seems to have paused out of the game. Yeah, Emma Soom, let us know.
As of right now, SD has more penalties than Rand, so he needs to get the overtake done and build a decent gap if he wants to finish ahead.
And by decent gap, how many seconds is that?
Currently it shows SD has 2 penalties, so I assume it's 6 seconds and Rand has 3.
Interesting. Yeah, tell us the other penalties, please.
So Jinan also has 2 penalties, so I assume it's 2-3 seconds, and again which amounts to 6 seconds. And Ninja also has 1 penalty. And going into the top runners, Mara has 1 penalty, and with 1 warning pending. And Speedless has a penalty and 3 warnings, which he accrued in the same lap.
Interesting.
And Black Sheep, and Black Sheep has at the moment he has 3 penalties. Black Sheep at the moment has 3 warnings, but interestingly no penalties.
Maybe he's kept it a little tidier than others, or maybe he's done a little less warnings than the others.
Yep. I think his rate of accruing the warnings is less. I believe that's the reason.
That's possible as well. Now we go on board with SD. Do you think SD is gonna get this position, or do you think he's just trying to keep it as close as he can, hoping that Rand slips out and gives up the position, because he's on really old tires and Rand is on slightly fresher mediums?
I think Rand really wants this position, given that Rand has been having not having the most inconsistent record in recent race. So I feel he's extremely motivated to defend for his life.
Oh, that was
There has been an extended battle going on between Freeman and Electrip. And Electrip tries to dive down the inside in P10.
Yep, let's not miss that battle.
And he goes too deep.
Ooh, both the boys still coming wheel to wheel. This is a Renault and Red Bull battling.
This battle has been, and Charles Leclerc is a 3-second time penalty.
Charles Leclerc has a 3-second time penalty, but I think he's going to end up finishing in 4th place as it is, and I think Black Sheep's going to finish in 3rd place. Does Speedless have any penalties?
He has 3 seconds. As I mentioned, he accrued them in the same lap.
So he's going to keep the 2nd place, and I think Black Sheep's going to keep the 3rd place. Are there any battles? I think Ninja and Tanny are having a close battle. 0.3 of a second behind Tanny.
Interesting to see that Tanny seems to have had an incident and fallen behind, I believe.
Can you tell me the penalties on Tanny and Ninja as well?
Yep. Just give me a second. So Tanny has 1 penalty, while Ninja has 1 penalty, but is on the verge of getting another one.
Ooh, so Ninja is going to try and keep it. Oh, Ninja gets another one.
And Ninja gets another penalty.
We wouldn't want to say commentator's curse, but I was just going to say Ninja is going to have to keep it clean as he tries to hunt down Tanny. You can definitely understand the frustration why Ninja is completely losing it now.
This battle between Freeman and Electrip is getting me fired up. It has been going on for so many laps.
So let's just stay on board with these two boys as we end the race. Now we know how it's going to end, but let's just stay on board and see what happens. Freeman and Electrip, the Renault and the Red Bull.
The battle between the Honda and the old engine and the new engine.
The old engine and the new engine. The Renault's definitely keeping it in front. Oh, there is a yellow flag in Sector 3. Can you tell us who that is?
I cannot find anyone as it is.
Oh, I think one of the drivers who finished. So Maranello finishes in 1st place. Speedless 2nd. Black Sheep 3rd. Charles 4th.
And
Rand 5th.
Freeman is right under the first.
Oh, SD finishes 6th, but Tanny I think gets in front.
Yep, I believe he had 6 seconds.
SD is going to be really disappointed by what's happened now.
And Freeman finishes behind Electrip. Great drive from Electrip. He is a new addition, and it is great to see him finishing in the final point scoring position.
Yep, this was a good race to watch. This was a fun race to watch. This was, I think, one of those races that they always say that Kota gets a little. Oh, the AI is losing it. They say that Kota gets a little boring because there are these big gaps that are built up between the cars, and sometimes it's just a battle of pit stop strategies and not so much lap by lap strategy. So it's good to watch how the pits shuffled up the race for us. Yeah, you were saying, Masu?
Finally, that is what these strategies is what makes Formula One.
That's also an interesting point, definitely.
Tanich crosses the line. A tough race for him, but I'm pretty sure he's going to come back strong in tomorrow's race.
Absolutely. Now, as the drivers end, let's just see the podium celebrations, the animated podium celebrations. It's really good to see your in-game avatar on the podium like that, seeing them pop up a bottle of champagne and spray it all around. We have a Finnish driver. I don't know who that is. That a Finnish or an Irish flag? I'm not too sure. Finnish is a square. Yeah, it's a blue and white square.
So that means Black Sheep continues his record of finishing P3.
So Black Sheep playing a very Kimi Räikkönen role in this championship, consistently P3, but consistently in the podiums nonetheless. Now let's just see how the race has ended. We have Maranello Baby in 1st place, Speedless 2nd, Black Sheep 3rd, Charles 4th, 5th IRC Rand, Tanny rounding up the first 6. IRC the real SD in 7th. That must be a very disappointing race for him. Jinan in 8th. Ninja 9th. Electrip in 10th. And that pretty much wraps up our top 10 of today's 3rd round at the Circuit of Americas for the Mini-Championship. Now we're going to jump on and see if we have any of the front runners joining us in the commentary box for post-race interviews. I'm pretty sure we have some boys who will be joining us. In the meantime, let's just go and see what the boys have to say.
Yes, Third World. We have the podium finishers in the channel now.
Boys, welcome to the channel. Fantastic, grueling race today. Fast-paced race today, but definitely grueling for some boys who are making up positions throughout. So who do we have in the commentary section right now? I mean, in the post-race interview section.
So currently we have the winner, Maranello Baby, and then we have Speedless, and we have Black Sheep. So let's start with Maranello BB.
Definitely,
And-
Masoom, take it away.
Yep. So Mara, first of all, how was the race?
It was good. Not gonna lie, there was a point before the first pit stops, before the first stint ended, that I thought the gap to P1 was a bit large, but the alternate worked out for me today. Well, quite well today.
We noticed that you gained 3 seconds on speed list during during your pit stops. So what was your mentality? I noticed that you came out behind Mountain. So as you know, when you came out of the pits, how was your mentality like?
Get past mountain as soon as possible and put in a good outlap, because I was actually planning to put one lap later, but Madhav was defending quite well, and he was, and I didn't want to take any risks, so I just sort of went for the undercut, so I wouldn't lose time to Madhav while also trying to fight the leaders at the same time.
And that was a very quick undercut as well to add to it.
Yeah, it was actually, it was after I crossed the second last turn, that's when I decided to pit. I was literally going to box opposite to Madhav.
Very nice. So Roald, do you want to add to it?
Absolutely. I think I have questions for all three of them today. Really good to see you in the podium finishing today's Speedless. It's good to see you back on top. Just wanted to know from you before we jump on to anyone else. What are some key things that you kept in mind at the end of your first pit stop, and what is something that had gone horribly wrong during the first stint before that pit stop?
The second pit stop was good, but I think Tanning was behind me, and I lost a little bit grip in my second stint. Are you talking about my first stint or second?
So what I asked you is, what are some things that you kept in mind you will do better during your second stint, and what are some things that went horribly wrong during your first stint?
I thought my first stint was better than my second stint. Actually, my second stint was a lot worse because Manello was behind me and I was in pressure. Actually, I felt like my first stint was better. I got a great start and I had no pressure behind, and I was doing great in first stint. I don't know what went wrong in second stint. I was losing a lot of grip. This is what I think of my racing.
So if you could do something differently, what would that be?
I had a perfect race. I couldn't do anything different, to be honest.
That's a really good response. I really appreciate that
Actually,
answer.
if I want to do things differently, I would like to buy a wheel and beat the Manello baby.
We have a challenge, Mara, for you. So let's see how it progresses through the next season.
I welcome it, yes, of course.
So Black Sheep, I was just making a comment before we jumped onto the podium celebrations. I was saying, I think Masoom made a comment that consistently in the podiums, and I was like, yep, consistently in the podiums like Kimi Raikkonen. I think, would you like to say that consistently in the podiums is something of a good thing for you? I mean, consistently in third place in the podiums is something of a good thing for you, or would you like to see yourself break that consistency and maybe challenge more for the front?
Well, third is probably obviously not the best. You'd like to be up front as much as possible. But if you're starting at the back, I guess, it's not as easy to get up front. I think I base it down to having good starts at the beginning. I guess we only have Maranello here who's been able to consistently do that, start from the back and win races. So I don't feel too bad about it, given the fact that I'm at least on the podium.
That's a really, really good attitude. I like that, Black Sheep. Now, same question that I asked Masoom. Same question that I asked Speedless. I want to ask you again. What is something that you think went horribly wrong during your first stint, and something that you kept in mind when starting as your car was exiting, as you were putting off the pit limiter and you're like getting into the racetrack again? You're like, okay, I'm going to do this differently. What is that?
So I think my first stint, from my point of view, was fantastic. It was flawless. I think I made up about 9 positions on lap 1 before the end of sector 1, which I was myself surprised by. I don't think I got entangled into any fights as such. I made up positions cleanly. Got to about P4, I think, by the end of my first stint. And after that, it was basically just put your head down and try and make back the positions with the quicker tire. I don't think I also think I only had 1 warning in my first stint. I picked up the penalty on my last lap. So I think my first stint couldn't have gone any better.
Yep. In fact, Masoom was making a comment on how clean, or rather, comparatively clean your entire 14 laps on track had been. Masoom, do you have any questions for Black Sheep?
Actually, I'm surprised on the race director. You had 3 warnings but no penalties.
Oh, so the third warning gets you a penalty, I think. I'm not sure
Yeah,
why that's not.
yeah, I was actually surprised because actually there's a circuit there where it's a penalty fest, and kudos to you for keeping it clean.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now I have one last question before we sign off. I think this is something that everybody agrees on, and I've asked before to the drivers as well, before to Maranello and to the other drivers as well, before, without sounding boring or without sounding repetitive. What are some things that from last weekend till this weekend you've looked at yourself and worked on, and what is something that you would like to give away to people, like if you've maybe realized that, hey, maybe not looking at my telemetry while I'm doing laps is a better way for me to do faster laps. Something that you've observed, something that you've observed in yourself over the last weekend. I mean, from round 2 to round 3, from Italy till here. I mean, let's start with speed loss.
Cannot race last weekend. I have come to race after so many days, so I can't find any difference. Ask Maranello.
Okay, so
I believe Speedless is currently racing out of quarantine.
all right, so let's jump on. Let's ask Black Sheep what he has to say here.
So I think from my point of view, I think there's a tendency, which was within myself as well, to be impatient, because everybody knows that this is only a 25% race, and sort of lose that patience at the beginning. And if you go wrong somewhere, it costs a lot, because 1 or 2 seconds lost is quite a bit on a 25% race. So I think it's just having a bit of self-control, having the speed, but also the patience.
That's actually a really good point, having the speed but also having the patience, because that ensures that you don't make those unnecessary over the curb moves that gets you those penalties in game, especially when you're chasing down someone for those precarious positions. Adil or Maranello, would you like to add to that?
I think Black Sheep stole my answer. I was going to say patience, but I think that show today, normally I think every racer loves on-track battles, me included. And I was itching to overtake Madhav on track, but I decided that the wise thing to do was to perform the undercut and take the risk of being stuck in traffic, but that paid off luckily. I have to say that earlier I was a little more, I think at the start of the race, especially in the Tier 1 Season 4 race, I did end up getting damaged because I didn't predict other drivers' pace. So I was way more cautious of that, and I think making it through the first couple of laps clean, had a few scary moments. Actually, the biggest scary moment I had was while overtaking Satvik, or Speedless rather. At the exit of turn 1, I completely lost the car. A huge kickover oversteer. Almost an entire 90 degrees, but I held it and managed to hold it around the outside after that. So yeah, fewer mistakes next week, hopefully.
Yep, fingers crossed. Like, I think we could all say that fewer mistakes next week for all of us. Better opportunities of racing next week for all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us in the commentary den for these post-race interviews. It's really good to hear from you all, especially after a grueling focused race like that. And I know it's a little moment where I would like you guys to unwind and let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much for the audiences to join us today. It was really good to have everyone who's joined us on YouTube, who's watching the stream. It's because of you that we do this. It's because of you that we try to produce the best content, make sure that we have the best streams, that you're absolutely proud of you calling yourself an Indian Formula One fan. And we encourage you to follow us on all our social media platforms so that you can stay in tune with everything that we do, all our next races, standings with the drivers, people maybe, for all you know, someone you knew in college has now picked up a steering wheel and is racing with us. So that's a really fantastic thing you might find out for yourself. So we encourage all of you to follow us everywhere to see what we are all up to. This is the IRC community saying goodbye to you, Third World Prophet. I mean, it was an honor for me to commentate with you, Masoom, today. I think you had fun as well.
It was an enjoyable 1 hour nearly.
Nearly, yes. Thank you so much to the drivers who are still in the den. Thank you so much to our audiences. This is until next time. Goodbye. See you again next week.